It's story time, and today it's about my shoot as Ariel, where I risked life and limb to get the perfect shot. Just a side note, I'm really sorry, I was lazy and I did not do my eyebrows. So last Saturday I had the absolute joy of catching up with my dear friend Matt. Matt and I have been friends for almost a decade and I love his photography almost as much as I love the man himself. We've done a number of shoots together, some of it has been stock photography, some of it has been cosplay, and we were long overdue for a catch-up. So I pulled out Ariel and we decided, hey, let's go to the beach. However, the adventure was somewhat bumpy. There was a few things that happened that were not great. It started off with my husband and I jumping in the car and heading down to Matt's. It's about an hour drive, an hour and a half, because he lives right on the ocean. It's absolutely gorgeous, and we were like, that's the perfect place to take some photos of the Little Mermaid, isn't it? When we got there, Matt's kind of doing some block work to his land, and the driveway had been just cut and disappeared off a cliff. My car almost went off the cliff. And he was like, no, come around to the side. And we drove around to the side and I went into the little driveway that had been created by Matt using like a machete or something, I don't know. And when we pulled up, it was clear that there was another driveway that had been created that was a temporary driveway, but Matt wasn't using it for some reason. Apparently it was too steep. We'll get back to this. So after all the pleasantries and the hugs and a bit of a catch-up, Matt suggests that we go and actually scout some locations near his house, and I'm like, that's a really good idea. So we pile into my car and I go, oh, well, I'll just go up the new driveway that has been specifically created, not by a machete. And Matt says, oh, it's a little bit steep. And I'm like, it's fine. And I drive up and sure enough, it is too steep. To the point where my car goes over the curb and then it doesn't move. The boys jump out of the car and I reverse out and then down the hill. And my car makes a weird noise. So the first thing that happened was that I hurt my car. I don't want to say damage because it sounds so serious, but yeah, I damaged my car for a photo shoot. And we hadn't even left his house yet. It was the start to a great shoot, what can I say? Anyway, the car was still drivable, so we all jumped in again and we drove through the machete-hacked driveway out to the location. I think I've mentioned this before. I live in Western Australia, which means that I live in a state of Australia which is basically half coastline. We've got a lot of beach space, and that is absolutely gorgeous. I don't particularly like the beach, but it is gorgeous and I appreciate that. So we drive on down to this area and we park the car. Not a lot of people, it's all fine. It's all so perfect, right? We get out of the car and I'm like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, there's some rocks. That looks like a good place to shoot. And Matt's like, yeah. And my husband's going, But Matt and I are about as intense as each other. We're like, yeah, let's climb the rocks. And so we kind of go up the sandbank, and once we get to the top of the sandbank, which is where the rocks start, that's when the wind hit us. We should have really considered this at that point in time. And I think we did, but we were like, yeah, it's fine, it will die off, it's fine. The wind was intense. I really can't stress that enough. It was so strong. There we are, Matt and I climbing all over the rocks in our regular clothes without equipment or anything like that. We're like, this is fine. Fast forward a bit, it wasn't fine. So we decided at that point in time we'd head on back. I get into my kit up and my car's still chugging along. And then about an hour before sunset, we all pop back into the car and we go to the first location. The wind hasn't died down. If anything, I think it got stronger. So there I am in my full Disney princess outfit where I can't really lift up my arms. My arms go to about here in that costume because apparently Disney princesses don't lift their arms for any reason. And the boys have like the photography equipment, so Matt's got his camera and there's a light and flash and all this jazz, right? And the boys go out first to set up the lights and where everything is. And then My husband Terry comes back and he helps me out onto the rocks, and I'm wearing boots at this stage. I was like, I've got the foresight to realize that going over in slippery shoes is not a good idea. I get onto the rocks and I change my shoes, and immediately I am scared. The wind is picking up my dress so much that I feel like I'm a kite, and the wind is just pushing me back continuously. My hair is flying everywhere, and I was like, is this even going to work? There is a fine line between dramatic shot and death shot. So we're on the rocks, we're like, you know what, let's just go for it, let's just persevere, let's see what shots we can get here. My darling, darling husband had, I think, the toughest job, because he was holding a light that was also like a softbox light, and that was picking up the wind, and he's literally balancing on like a pointed rock. And he was like, yep, I'm good, I'm fine, everything's all right, keep shooting. Such a trooper. But I am so thankful that all three of us really stuck through it, and we just took all the photos that we could. Even though 90% of the photos, the wind is just too strong and you can see the crinoline, or, you know, the hair is in my face or anything like this, the shots that worked look epic. They're so, so good. They're some of my favorite shots of me in cosplay, which is a credit to Matt, the photographer, and also to Terry for persevering while almost dying. All three of us at different points throughout the day either slipped on rocks or was falling because of the wind. It was that strong. But we managed not to die, so yay. So that's my story time. I'm sorry it's a little bit all over the place, but it was an interesting experience to say the least. I don't think that I would have felt as comfortable and would have got the shots that I got if it wasn't because of how comfortable I was with Matt and the fact that Terry was there with me, essentially holding my hand, and at times holding my hands as I was crossing the rocks. So it's a huge testament to both those gentlemen. I love them both very, very much. Obviously I married one, and the other one was my bridesman. Yeah, fun fact. I hope that you guys have enjoyed that story. If you like more story times, please let me know. I'd love to make more of these. Make sure that you subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. Bye!